Oh my goodness. Oh no, here's Liam. She's now, I see her playing around in my domain, so not quite sure what she's doing out here, but you can see her there. She's fiddling around with my things. Looks like we've got a new cover gone up. Anyway, that's the first thing. Normally we have this, we have to go through the day undoing the things that are done. So anyway, we can put the hooks back where they are, because I use the hooks every day, so you can see where the hooks are. See? We don't need the airflow to be blocked through here, because it won't be long before it's 30 degrees out and everybody's too hot to do anything. So anyway, so get some of the lights on and start some work. The material, the black material here is up on the bench because the cats will get it. So if the wife's not making the mark, the cat will make the mark. So I'll show you in a minute the project from yesterday, where we played around with the shrink wrap and some rope and some covers, and we have a good result. So here's the project we're going to work on today. We finished the heat shrinking on this yesterday. As you can see, it's a scaled down model of what it might look like if I put a LDPE roof on my Apsara tent. Important things to note, we've got some ropes around the edge to make it look a bit like a tarpaulin, and those ropes are tied quite tightly to my workbench at the moment. So I've got that tied up in 4 places, and then from there what I've done is I've used the shrink wrap gun, the hot gun, and I've shrink wrapped that on across some tarpaulin, some scaffold, so that we can have a really nice tight fit, but test to see whether the shrink wrap material is punctured by three test straps or boots on top of the scaffolding. So I'm going to take the shrink wrap off now, and hopefully I can do that just by undoing the rope here and then flicking and then just flicking off the cover off here, like so. And you can have a look at see what the various boots have been made of. So the construction of this boot, I think, is the best, although there's a bit of a bump here. This rope boot is a bit high, and this cloth boot here, this rag boot, is not so great. So have a look at what we've done. So this is the my darling wife's contribution was this rag boot across the scaffold lock, or the scaffold connector. You can see the scaffold connector underneath there. Now, having a look at these scaffold connectors, it's been a big job, but I've been able to cut down 9 mils off these connector bolts, so that in fact that we've got less of a obstruction, or less of a snag to put our boot around. Now this is the rope version of the boot, and you can see that although it does cover quite well, it's quite mobile and possibly could move out the way, and you could get this sharp bolt protruding and snagging the material. Also these bits here, which I think will put holes in the shrink wrap over time as it moves around a bit in the wind. And this is the preferred one. I made this up yesterday. It's made out of a bit of sponge rubber and held on with a couple of cable ties. Punched a few holes in it so that it wraps nicely around the scaffold, and really I don't think there's anything that's going to snag, and I think that protects the shrink wrap quite nicely from becoming stretched and or creating a hole. Now you can see I had a tiny little hole over here, and as soon as I applied the heat to it, we've got a much bigger hole that's just torn into the shrink wrap as it heats. I welded the plastic around it. You can see I've had mixed success, some good, some bad. This one's not so good, so but you can see that it does actually weld quite well at times, and other times quite disappointing. So anyway, that's the cover. And today we're going to make some of these rubber boots, and I have to make 4 and 5. There's going to be at least 20 of these, and then the corner pieces, there's going to be 10 of those, so we need to make 30 of these boots, and I've got this much material, which I think is a 24 by 1200 sheet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find some steel and make up a template that I can use, and if I make up a template I can just slide a cutter blade around it, and that will be the next best thing to having a die which you can put in a press and cut it out. Then this one will be just a pattern or a template to cut around. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the rubber boot, and I'll do that by clipping off the cable tie, being careful, I hope, not to damage the boot underneath, because that would. So if you have a look at the construction of this boot, I've used about 30 centimeters by I think that's 200, and I've cut it, and it's a bit like jandal material. It's quite tough, and we punched some holes and carefully or cleverly positioned the cable tie to hold the whole thing together, so on top of the scaffold. One of the considerations, of course, is to make sure that I can't get up on the top of the scaffold, so make sure that the boys can. I know they can change these scaffold locks or clamps, but to make sure that they're also able to carefully or easily put on the rubber boot, so that it goes on one way, and it's not going to be too difficult to do while they're in the air, and they can carry some up and just put them on, and they go on properly. So you can see this one's around the wrong way, but that's the whole concept.